Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Look. Here. Commissioner Brassad. Here. Commissioner West. Here. Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Thank you. And next we will go to tax claims and abatements.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes. Next, we'll consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 for the period ending September 17th, 2019, and purchase card claims paid for the period ending September 18th, 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes. Next, I'm looking for approval of the minutes from September 10th, 2019 County Board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Any additions or deletions or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And that passes. Next, we will move on to Chair's Remarks. We have 3 items for you today under Chair's Remarks, and the first one is to recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Anoka County. As Chair of the Human Services Committee, I'd like to invite Commissioner Brassad to lead our conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Despite all that's been done, domestic and sexual violence continues to have an impact on our community. Listen to this. In the United States, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crimes. And this is the 7th leading cause of premature deaths for women. In Anoka County, we're working hard to raise awareness about this important issue. We're honored to have with us today representatives from 2 area organizations who are leading advocates for survivors in Anoka County. I'd like to invite Connie Moore, Executive Director of Alexandra House, and Linda Wiesa, Executive Director of the Dwelling Place, to come up and say a few words about their efforts. Connie, we'll begin with you. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you all for having me this morning. Again, it's October coming up with Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so I'm happy to be here to talk a little bit about the work that Alexandra House is doing in the community. This year so far, we've lost 14 individuals to domestic violence in the state of Minnesota. The year's not over, so I think last year we had 14 total. That included the actual victims and then family or friends or acquaintances of those victims. So it's still a very serious issue in the state of Minnesota and in Anoka County. Our mission is to empower victims of domestic and sexual violence and inspire social change through education, support, and advocacy. And we do that every single day. Last year, our shelter provided 24-hour emergency shelter to 542 women and children, which amounted to 12,972 nights of safety. One of the things that I want you to know is that we have seen an increase in the length of stay of our families in our emergency shelter due to the lack of affordable housing. What used to be a 10 to 13 day stay has now climbed to a 24 as an average, 24 days as an average. So we're serving less families through the shelter because they're staying longer. So that means there's not space for others who might need that safety. We still work really hard not to turn away. Our commitment is to not to turn away Anoka County families in our shelter. In 2018, 189 women and children began their healing process at weekly support groups. we did make some changes in our support group offerings this past year due to some funding cuts, but we're still offering 4 support groups. And that's a key service for women and children who are now trying to put their lives back together and heal from the violence and the abuse that they have suffered. Legal services is an important piece of the work that we do, and with our partnership with our law enforcement, the Anoka County Attorney's Office, other prosecutorial offices. We serve 765 clients through our civil and criminal justice advocacy services, and that includes filing protection orders, accompanying victims during civil and criminal court proceedings, and offering referrals for legal representation. We received 602 referrals from local law enforcement in 2018. One of the things that we knew was really important for families once they had gotten past that initial crisis is, how do I start rebuilding my life? How do I get back into mainstream, back into the community where I can take care of myself and take care of my children? So in 2007, we started developing what we call our follow-up services. So these are advocates who are working with families who are either have left the shelter or who've worked with our community program and getting that order for protection or going through those criminal court processes. So we meet with those families either in their home or another safe place, whatever works for them, and work with them on the issues that they're facing on a daily basis, whether that be, how do I get counseling for my children? I need to find some job training. I need to get a new job. Whatever those issues are, that's what we help those families with. And that's been an important service and made a huge difference in the lives of those families that we've been working with through that program. Our on-call hospital advocacy continues. We've been working with Mercy and Unity Hospital back in the day, and now Mercy and Unity Campus since the late 1980s. And we continue to respond 24/7 to both domestic and sexual assault cases when we're called to the hospital or to clinics, a line of clinics. We served 282 victims of sexual and domestic violence through the Mercy Hospital and Unity Campus in 2018. Our Aging Services Program is a program that's specifically geared towards working with individuals 50 and older. And I know 50 doesn't sound, that's not old. But the reason that starts at that age is because of the resources that are available, the safety nets that are available for individuals in that age group from 50 and above. That program continues to grow, and the needs of those individuals are unique in many ways, different from the younger population that we provide services to. So that we know that those numbers are going to grow, and that program is going to grow. Youth services, this is our way. For us, it's our key prevention along with our community education. So really working with the youth in the schools on classroom presentations with what are healthy relationships, working with those students who are experiencing dating violence or some form of relationship abuse. Perhaps there's something happening in their home. Those we think are key services and really important in terms of when we look down the road, how do we prevent domestic or sexual violence in the future? We reached over 3,000 students last year just in classroom presentations. And again, our community education and professional training provides the informational presentations. We do community outreach and professional trainings to those who might be working or are working with survivors of sexual or domestic violence. And in 2018, we reached over 6,500 community members working to create awareness around these issues. One of the things I'd really like to impress on folks is we have volunteer opportunities. So you can volunteer in our shelter, you can be an on-call hospital advocate volunteer, child care volunteer. We have opportunities within our kitchen and facilities for volunteers, and then there's group opportunities. So if that's something that you're interested in, please contact Alexandra House. And our big event this time of year to kick off Domestic Violence Awareness Month and to help build community awareness is our Hope Fest. And this year, we're moving our event to and partnering with the YMCA Lino Lakes. We moved this year because we were of the understanding that there may be some construction happening at Bunker Hills Regional Park. And so this year we'll be at the YMCA in Lino Lakes. We hope you can join us. It's a family-friendly event, and you can bring your dog as well. So it's a time to learn and to talk to others in the community about what can I do as a member of this community to impact and make a difference in the lives of those who are experiencing domestic or sexual violence. These are our social media links, so please check those out. And if you haven't registered yet and you're interested in attending the Hope Fest, you can still do that. Go to our website and just click on the Hope Fest icon, and you're set and ready to go. So thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here, and we're grateful for Anoka County having such a focus on domestic abuse and being so helpful to organizations like the Dwelling Place and Alexandra House. The Dwelling Place is a Christian ministry. We're supporting women and children who are victims of abuse, providing healing and hope through supportive services and a safe place to call home. We exist to break the generational cycle of abuse by equipping and empowering women and families through the love of Jesus Christ so that they can experience lasting freedom. As was mentioned, abuse is rampant, and there are many forms, not only physical, which we often think of, but verbal, emotional, spiritual, and financial. And it affects children, whether they've been themselves abused or have witnessed it. The need is great. Abuse is the immediate cause for homelessness in so many situations. Women face the excruciating decision of deciding whether they should become homeless or stay with an abuser. We received calls for help from 385 women with 379 children in 2018, and we're outpacing that this year. The need is so great. Housing and supportive services options are so few. Often we are partnering with Alexandra House and having families move to our facility after their short stay there. Because we are slightly different, we are different, but we have safe transitional housing, Christian programs and services that allow time for families to heal from the trauma of abuse. We also provide advocacy to connect women to economic resources, and many of those are right here in the county services that were provided. And the goal is to obtain and maintain safe permanent housing so that they can continue to work and live abuse-free lives. Here are some photos of our homes. We have on the left top our women's program space. It combines with a living room in one of our homes. And the lower left is a kitchen and dining area. These spaces are shared by families. And then they have private bedrooms with a key that they can lock their door and feel safe. Depending on the size of the family, they may have 1 or 2 bedrooms. Our children's space is new this past year, and we are able to help children heal from their trauma as well as providing them with resources to improve cognitive skills. They're often very behind in school. So our capacity, we have doubled in size in the last 2 years, and we can now serve up to 57 women and children at one time. We successfully housed and served 20 women in 2018 with 25 children, and we're ahead of that pace. We have already served 50 individuals, 22 women, and 28 children this year. I'd like to share a video so that you can hear directly from several of the women that we are currently serving or have recently served. I have been talking for several years about building a strong foundation for growth at the dwelling place. Over the last 2 years, we have doubled in size, and so now we have the capacity to serve up to 57 women and children at one time.
When the women and children first come to the dwelling place, they come to us from a very broken place.
Started with my mom's upbringing, which in turn, she became a teenage mother, and her father was an alcoholic and abusive physically. Eventually, the man that she married, he wasn't my biological dad, but he sexually abused me. I felt like that's how I ended up getting in an unhealthy relationship.
He abused me emotionally, physically. He left me in the house by myself the whole time, pregnant. He doesn't call me, ask me, how am I doing?
I was in an abusive relationship, a lot of physical abuse and verbal abuse. I tried to leave at least 7 or 8 times.
After that, I checked into a shelter. Just imagine, with a newborn.
More often than not, on the first day that our women come in, they'll say, the fact that I have my own room and that I have a lock on my door is an immediate thing that makes them feel safe. Every component of our classes and our daily programming is based on the Word of God.
They have a hope in Him that is far greater than what they've experienced in the past, and now they can dream again.
My hopes and dreams for my future is to be a stable mother, have my own place, work full-time.
Taking everything that I've learned here at the dwelling place and applying it to my new life.
You might be sitting here thinking, the need is so great, what can I do? Everyone can contribute, whether it's their talent, their time, their financial resources.
It helped us in so many ways. And thank you so much, everyone who's doing this.
She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh without fear of the future. I believe that each one of us holds the key to providing strength and dignity for women and children. You'll hear more about what we do in our services if you are able to attend our 21st annual gala, which will be on October 5th at the Earl Brown Event Center. We'll also have entertainer Aaron Schust in concert, and the registration just closed yesterday. However, if you email our website, our info at thedwellingplaceshelter.org, we can still get you in the next couple days. Again, I thank you for all that you've provided and the support that you give the dwelling place.
Thank you, Connie and Linda. And thank you for the important work you do to help combat domestic and sexual violence in our community. For our viewing audience, I'd like to encourage everyone to visit the websites listed on the screen for more information about upcoming fundraising events to help every family live free from violence. The work you do in our community is vital. I would love to say that if you work hard enough, we would end it. But I think we know from the past that that's a long ways from happening, and we've got a lot of work to do. And I, for one, am proud to be a partner with both Alexandra House and the Dwelling Place to continue this very important fight. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, to echo your sentiments, and thank you both for being here today. I've actually toured the Dwelling Place facilities. They are beautiful and very homey. And then I've been a volunteer at the Alexandra House for, I think, about 3 years, and I wanted to just echo what Connie was talking about for their volunteer programs. And their training programs are really exceptional. I believe they have them twice a year. So I definitely encourage people to check that out in whatever ways that speak to you. But again, thank you both for being here and the work that you do.
And I'll look forward to seeing most of you at Hope Fest coming up here September 28th. At YMCA in Lino Lakes. With that, I would ask at this time my fellow commissioners to please join me in supporting Resolution 2019-112, proclaiming October 2019 Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Anoka County.
So moved.
I just introduced that resolution, so I think we're good to go. We will, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That resolution's adopted. Thank you again. Our second item today is to learn more about all the great things happening in our Anoka County library system. I'd like to ask Commissioner Meisner, our library board liaison, to share some more information and introduce our library director. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I cannot think of a better service to talk about for my first remarks than our county libraries. I think many of us think of libraries as simply a place to check out books, but libraries have been doing a lot more for a long time. So a few things I'd like to share about that is an IQ kitchen. We provide, or the libraries provide that. This is where patrons can actually prepare food, learn about the food that they're preparing. I believe we have the only cookware collection that you can take out, and I want to say it's Disney themed, if I'm remembering correctly. And then also Centennial Library in Circle Pines got a major overhaul, completely remodeled. If you've not checked that out, please do so. And one of my particular favorite programs that the library services provide are the business support services. So they have dedicated staff there that will help you with your marketing, help you with your research, perhaps maybe even build a business plan, but you can literally take your team and get trained there. This is all for free. And with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce Library Director Maggie Snow.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm Maggie Snow, the Director of the Anoka County Library, and I realize that the last few times that I've been standing in front of you has been to talk about the Centennial Library and the updates that we've been making. We are really excited. We reopened at the end of June. 1,500 people turned out for the grand opening celebration. It was really spectacular, and we've just received really positive feedback from the community about that space, about the services that are offered there, about the artistic elements in the new library, so I want to thank you for your support in making that a success. But I'm here today really to talk about the other things that we've been doing in the library as well. So while we've been focusing on building a new library, we have other things going on across the county. For the past couple of years, we've been focusing on 4 broad strategies to advance the mission of the library. And those include to promote personal growth in reading and learning, to expand access to ideas, information, and stories, to strengthen communities and neighborhoods, and to foster a culture of innovation. So I'd like to take a few minutes today to highlight some of the ways that library staff have been putting those words into action. For personal growth and learning, we were looking to develop dynamic programming for all ages and backgrounds to meet and learn together at the library. Crooked Lake and Mississippi Libraries, along with our IQ Kitchen, Crooked Lake and Mississippi Libraries rolled out Curiosity Kitchens, or our self-contained kitchens that were funded in part from the county's health departments. The carts are part of an integrated education program that connects food and cooking with lessons in math, language arts, science, and social studies. Kristen at the Rum River Library is leading Girls Who Code Club. It's part of a nationwide organization, the mission of which is to close the gender gap in technology and change the image of what a programmer looks like and does. Crooked Lake Library and Johnsville Libraries initiate game days for adults, because why should kids have all the fun with gaming? It's an opportunity to meet new people and learn about the board game collections that are in the library. Staff are leading book clubs and discussion groups for early readers, homeschool families, adults, families suffering with dementia, and senior citizens in their homes. This summer, the St. Francis Library and staff and volunteers planted a raised bed garden from which they shared the fruits of their labors with others at the food shelf and with the patrons at the library. To expand access to ideas, information, and stories, we developed collections that reflect and inspire the community. So a little bit about some of the statistics for our collections and our circulation. In 2018, Rum River Library was the 11th busiest library in the state. So there are 364 library outlets across the state, including bookmobiles and on-the-go locations. Rum River Library was the 11th busiest in the state. We had a 30% increase in our downloadable materials, including downloadable books, audiobooks, and magazines. We are on track for a 33% increase in the circulation of our board game collection this year. We have also added in this past year sun lamps, backpacks to go visit the county parks, memory maker kits, internet hotspots that you can check out. And this summer, we introduced the bakeware collection to complement the Centennial Library's IQ Kitchen. So there are a lot of Disney-themed pans in the collection, but if you also need a dinosaur pan, we got you covered on that too. So we also just recently added to that frosting tips, so you can decorate your cake as well. So it's been pretty popular. So one of my favorite collections that we've added recently was at the North Central Library in Ham Lake. I had challenged staff to think about if all of Anoka County were our collection, how would we cultivate that and share that? And so they took that to heart and launched the Local Talent Collection, which is a monthly lecture series featuring resident experts in the Ham Lake area. And they have hosted lectures on seasonal affective disorder, agates, Celtic harp, and serving in the military as a musician through the Army Band. So it's been really interesting to hear their stories. To make accessing the collections easier this year, we will be upgrading our print management systems for smoother printing from your devices, tablets, and phones. And we'll be launching a new version of our library's app for convenient access for library resources and programs. To strengthen neighborhoods and communities, we have coordinated voter registration drives at our libraries. The Rum River Library has become a polling place for the city of Anoka. The Anoka County Law Library and the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs now offer regular office hours through the library. We have rekindled our partnership with Adult Basic Education and the New Americans Academy to welcome residents of our diverse and growing community. Our business librarians support business owners and entrepreneurs with research, professional development opportunities, and collaborative working spaces. The library now offers 17 different meeting room and conference room spaces that the public can borrow and check out for their meetings. And we have seen a 32% increase over the last year in the usage of those meeting rooms. I anticipate that that will continue to grow now that Centennial Library has an additional 5 meeting rooms there. In the next few weeks, we're finalizing some details for the Centennial Library meeting room to be available before and after hours at the library, so we're working with the county facilities to make that happen. Fostering a culture of innovation has been really exciting to see for our staff this year. Our staff have been working with organizations from across the country, and 2 of those that I wanted to highlight were Stacy Hendren from the Northtown Library and Becky Walpole from the Crooked Lake Library have been working with the NASA Family Science Program to design and test curriculum that focuses on the principles of whole family learning. So through STEM activities, they encourage collaboration, respectful discourse, discovery, expression, risk-taking, and fun. So dating myself here, when I first started working in libraries before the advent of the internet, there was a phrase that libraries were global reach, local touch. So with our NASA Family Science, we're going intergalactic now. So beyond global, we're going intergalactic. We also have a staff member, Andrea, who is working on a connected learning initiative through the American Library Association. So she is teaching librarians both locally and nationally on techniques to integrate principles of connected learning and computational thinking into their programs and services. The role of the 21st Century Library is built on 3 key assets: people, place, and platform. In this people-driven environment, skilled librarians help people navigate new technology, manage vast amounts of data, and meet their information needs. With the resources and know-how to deliver individualized learning and social programming, the public library staff deliver a high-touch participatory experience to support personal and community goals. People are at the center of the library's mission to inspire and cultivate learning. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for your continued support of library services.
Well, thank you, Maggie. Obviously, libraries play a very important role in our community here in Anoka County, and your passion is obvious. We offer so many programs and so many different opportunities for the public to engage in our libraries in all of our communities. And I had the opportunity to be at the Centennial Lake ribbon cutting up there for that library expansion, and it was quite an experience. There was a lot more people than I ever thought would be there. But it's a very beautiful remodel. The building's wonderful, serving great purposes, and thank you again for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our third item under Chair's remarks today is to show our commitment in ensuring every Anoka County resident is counted in the upcoming 2020 census. The U.S. Constitution mandates that everyone in the country be counted every 10 years, and the census provides a historic opportunity to help shape the foundation of our society and play an active role in American democracy. The first census was conducted in 1790. The 2020 census is closer than you think as the counting begins in January. Households will have the option of responding online, by mail, or by phone starting in April. All information provided is confidential. The 2020 census will have a big impact on Anoka County and the state. For instance, data will accurately determine how many representatives Minnesota will have in Congress. It's necessary for the accurate and fair redistricting of state legislative seats, this county board, city councils, and voting districts. It's used as the basis for distributing more than $675 billion in federal funds. That's with a B. That money is spent on roads, human services, and other vital programs. Information from the 2020 Census and American Community Survey are vital tools for economic development and increased employment. Today, we have a resolution in support of a partnership with the U.S. Census Bureau and the state of Minnesota for the 2020 census. Here are just a few things Anoka County will do. We will support the goals and ideals for the 2020 census and disseminate 2020 census information. We will also encourage all county residents to participate in raising the overall awareness of the census, and we will strive to achieve a complete and accurate count of all persons within our borders. I would comment also that the census form you will receive or fill out online is a one-page form. It's not a 20-page document. It's not a very lengthy deal. It's a short one-page questionnaire, and it is confidential. But it's important that we get those people counted. We need everybody in the county counted to make sure we get our share of federal dollars. With that, are there any other comments? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Chair Schulte. When you mention confidential, I think that's vitally important for a lot of people because one of the issues that some people have with the census is there is in our society today a lack of trust perhaps in government, and that's unfortunate. And but the information that is gathered while it goes out and does all these purpose or is used for all of these different programs and things, it is also the personal information is not released for over 70 years. They hold it, they do not release it. It's only used for counting purposes, and any personal information that might be gathered tying to addresses or things like that is not released for over 70 years. And I think that's important. It's also important for those that live in apartment complexes. A lot of the times where we find that we don't get counts are from people that live in apartment buildings. Sometimes they're moving, sometimes it gets lost in the transitions, and we do not, and the actual census takers, if you do not fill it out, they will come later on to your home, to your address, and try to take the census that way personally. They, unlike elected officials or people that are running for office, can get into apartment buildings. That's a state law in Minnesota. To campaign, census takers can't get into the buildings unless it's up to the building ownership or the individual person. So that makes it even more difficult. So there's always ways for people to find out more information about the census. Many of the cities in Anoka County and all across the state will have programs to get more information to you, but it's vitally important for people to understand because just some of the programs that it will affect if Minnesota doesn't count correctly would be medical assistant programs like Medicaid. It would be federal direct student loans. It would be highway planning and construction. It would be low-income home energy assistance. Those are the types of programs that the federal government uses census data. And that's why it's vitally important for everybody to fill this out when it gets to your home and get it in as soon as possible. And now there's more options, as Commissioner Schulte indicated, whether it's online or even by phone to do the information on the census. So please, please, please talk to your parents or your grandparents about filling out the census. Talk to anybody that you know about filling out the census. It's vitally important. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, thank you for sharing that information. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this resolution, which is in support of census. And then I personally would really like to advocate for Anoka County to become a complete count committee. So hopefully we will be discussing that and bringing that forward in the future. But I just think that it's important for Anoka County to lead in this way, particularly for the cities that don't have the organization power around that, so Anoka County can fill in those gaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. With that, I'd ask my fellow commissioners to please join me in supporting a resolution I will offer now, 2019-113. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Before I close Chair's remarks, I'd like to quickly remind and invite all staff to join us today until noon for the Anoka County Well at Work Clinic's open house. Stop in and meet our new provider, Maureen Penning. Maureen has been a nurse practitioner since 2017 with experience in trauma and general medicine. So welcome to Maureen, and everyone, please check out our Well at Work Clinic and say hello. Now on to committee reports, beginning with the Management Committee. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is a new position in Administration Information Technology. It's effective September 30th. It's 1 FTE Senior Network Engineer, grade D 114.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion.
I would like to comment, it is a budget savings for 2019 to cover this position until the lead data center person retires, and they'll take over.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Look.
Just by way of clarification, it's not a new position. I mean, it is temporarily, but it'll be replaced and not counted as a new position when replaced.
Thank you for your clarification. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look? Commissioner Brassad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
And that passes.
The
Commissioner
next
West.
item is a contract C0000990. It's a commercial lease agreement with Foley Partners LLC. It's to lease an additional 3,151 square feet of space for the Coon Rapids License Center at 455 99th Avenue in Coon Rapids. And they have decreased the rate of the entire area for 3 years, and then it will increase at 25 cents per square foot annually to extend through the lease at December 31st, 2027. And if anybody is familiar with that center, that is going to be very welcome news and going to create great efficiency and much easier getting around over there.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Gamache, and I will second that. And under discussion, I will just say that you are absolutely right. Everybody that goes there is jumping up and down and clapping right now, knowing that they'll have a little more room as time moves on. And the center is not moving, it's just expanding at its current location to the place directly to the south.
Yep.
Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Chair. One of the things that I want to thank our staff for is the negotiation process that they went through. And they did this the last time when we expanded in Blaine as well. Part of the everybody knows what it's like to go and get their tabs and things like that done, so having more space is great. But what they've done is that in negotiating this, they reduced our rent for 3 years. And at the same time, the landlord is going to pay for the reconstruction and help get that all set up in place. I suppose that's also for their ability to make sure it's done the way they would like to see it if we should ever leave, which we usually don't. But so I want to thank the staff for the hard work that they put in to get that done, because this is obviously going to be very helpful in that Coon Rapids office. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I just want to comment, in the management committee, we were shown a picture of the waiting room, everyone's standing, very few seats, and those that were available were taken. And I'm familiar with the Ramsey Station, and very similar situation over there. And while I'm not opposed to this additional lease for additional space, I know that with the changes to the passport centers, that's taken up some spaces, required by the federal government to have that in a separate location. That is primarily probably the reason why I'll support this. The unfortunate reality, I think, is that some of the congestion we see in these waiting areas really has nothing to do with anything other than the state program that's very time-consuming and has been problematic for not only our locations, but the private locations out there as well. And so our hope is that the new system that they're going to come up with here will help to solve that problem from people having to spend unnecessary time in these offices. And I think that'll be, while this is nice, I think that'll be certainly a lot better to get people in and out on a faster basis. So,
Well, thank you, Commissioner Look, and I couldn't agree more. The failed MNLARS system will be with us until October of 2020. So we've got another year plus to battle through that. Our staff has done a fabulous job in the workarounds, and although it handcuffs them occasionally, they get through most of these processes pretty seamlessly, and most customers, while a little put off by the time it takes, at least are getting some success through our Anoka County License Centers, and for that I thank all the employees there. With that, seeing no further discussion, we will go to a vote, and this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my items.
Thank you. While we're on the additional agenda, let's go ahead and take that second item that's listed before you, and as the Commissioner in charge of insurance, I will bring it forward. Consider approving a contract for the Retiree Medicare Supplement Insurance Renewal Package Plan N with Blue Cross Blue Shield for plan year 2020. And I would move this item. It's contract C0007502. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes. Now we'll move back to the regular agenda and jump into the Transportation Committee report. Our committee had the opportunity to meet on Monday, September 16th here in the Government Center, and we have some action items for you. First, in the Highway Division, the committee would recommend approval of Anoka County Purchase of Service Agreement between Anoka County and TKDA for construction administration services associated with the construction of Hornsby Street from 350 feet south of Trunk Highway 97 to 1,500 feet north of Trunk Highway 97, and from 1,000 feet east of I-35 to 2,600 feet east of I-35. For everybody's understanding, this is right at Highway 35 and 97, or right by the harness track, and this is on the east side of the freeway. And I am looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner West, second by Commissioner Brasted. Any further discussion? Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if Doug can just give us an idea of how these different professional agencies are selected in terms of they have experience, are they low bidder, or how are they somewhat selected in this process?
Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Look, County Board members, I'm Doug Fisher. I'm Transportation Division Manager and County Engineer. It's just like any other professional service, whether it's your doctor or your lawyer. Engineers are professional services, so we don't bid those out like we do construction contracts, which generally go to a low bidder. We want to look at the qualifications of the firm, the experience of the firm, the availability of staff, who on their staff is going to be assigned to this project. So and the cost. So between the qualifications-based selection and cost, we'll do that. In this particular case, obviously, The project was underway with MnDOT's project. We needed to do something very quickly. TKDA is the city engineer for the city of Columbus. So again, they were very familiar with this area, with the utilities that would be impacted. So looking at them was a clear and logical choice. And again, we have the expertise to know that, to make sure that their proposal is fair and reasonable and of good value to the taxpayer as well. So that generally is how we do any professional service contract for Anoka County. And we've used multiple firms throughout the year, again, depending on their expertise and the project at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Next, the committee recommends rejection of all bids received in response to the county's invitation to bid on the sale of improved real estate located at 8175 Riverdale Drive, Northwest in Ramsey, and granting authority to the county engineer to engage commercial brokers to list and market the property for sale. This is a property that was an RV dealer that we needed to acquire during the Armstrong Boulevard reconstruction. We took a great deal of the parking lot during that process. And so the building sits there. We did open it up, and none of the bids were close to meeting what we need to get to meet state statute. So for that reason, we're now thinking we should go to the open market and solicit a broker. So we're looking for a motion to reject all bids.
So moved.
There's a motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Commissioner Gamache.
Just in the picture that we're looking at here, it's showing just the building, so the parking lot on the picture, that's owned by somebody else in that area?
Commissioner Gamache, the parking lot to the left of the building, as you look at it, there is a different RV dealer.
Okay, thanks.
The parking lot for this building was further to the east, or in the red circle to the right.
Gotcha.
And because of our entrance ramp and other construction there, that had to go away. So it's a very minimal parking lot for this building now.
Very good. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that will pass unanimous. The rest of my report is informational. Next, we will turn to the Human Services Committee report. Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our committee met on September 17th. We have a few items. The first is under the consent agenda, which is a renewal of the contract C0005968 with the Department of Health for the child and teen checkups, funding in the amount of $1,025,000 to $205,000. No, $1,025,205 for a period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that passes. Next item.
Consider recommending the county board reimburse a foster care provider $5,316.57 for property damage caused by a client while in placement in their home.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Look, second by Commissioner Brassad. Further discussion? I would only comment that this is a rare occurrence. We do this every year or every 2 years maybe. It's unfortunate, but it is a cost of doing business in this realm. Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, just to kind of further your comment about this particular case, because I believe this family has been a foster care provider for quite some time, decades, I want to say. So I just wanted to make a note of that and thank them for all their years.
Yes, truly foster homes are needed, and we thank them for all their hard work. And when we can do this to limit their liability, it's something we should be doing. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Next item.
Consider recommending the county board accept Pathways to Prosperity funding from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development in the amount of $375,000 for Career Connections, Integrated Reentry Occupation Cohorts as IROC from October 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
Is there a motion to approve? Commissioner Meisner, is there a second by Commissioner West? Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I basically said the same thing when this was first introduced as a approval to pursue this grant. Congratulations. I am so thrilled to see this. The state demographer has often talked about the mathematical problem in terms of shortage in the workforce, and I can't think of a better way to start to tackle that solution by providing people a second chance and getting back into the workforce. So congratulations. I believe you actually have to come up with the whole program and everything October 1st, which is right around the corner. So good luck with that as well. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Next item.
I'll offer the resolution 2019 HS 17, which is the economic assistance bills.
Resolution's been offered. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. Again, unanimous. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 2019 HS-18, accepting gift for human services. This is the Anoka County Social Services has received $5,700 in cash donations from 13 different organizations for our campership program, and I'd be happy to offer that.
The resolution's been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
And that concludes my report.
Commissioner Brassad. Next is our Information Technology Committee report. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on September 16th, and the IT committee recommended to the county board approve a second amendment to contract number C0001338 with Zayo Group LLC for the bandwidth master service agreement. In 2010, Anoka County, along with the private partner Zayo, received a NTIA grant of approximately $19.12 million to connect Anoka County, a 284-mile fiber ring that provides connectivity services to the county, cities, schools, and public safety entities. In that agreement at that time, we expected that we would have to replace the equipment around 2017. In 2015, it was determined that the equipment code could go beyond 2017. And now we have the county and the Zayo agreement. The first amendment to the master contract to facilitate this change was done then. This extended the warranty to from 2017 to 2020. So now we are in need of updating the contract so that we can begin the work on the new equipment or the updated equipment. Am I correct in all of those assumptions or what I've read here?
Mr. Chair, members of the County Board, I'm Susan Vreel, I'm the Director of Information Technology. You are correct, and it's a lot to unpack, Commissioners. So when we first did the agreement back in 2010 with Zayo, we assumed an approximate 5-year shelf life for the equipment and went back to Zayo after a couple of years, one, to save funding. It's a very expensive investment to replace that equipment. And two, much along the lines of, for our county's network standards, we're typically closer to around the 7-year lifespan for replacement of equipment. There was a lot of back and forth. We had former Commissioner Jim Kordiak involved in that negotiation, and that was successful. So in preparing for 2020, we need that current agreement with that first amendment to be extended, and the period we're looking at is 5 years to 2025. We worked very closely with Catherine Tim and others from the county attorney's office to ensure that our best interests are met, and we've also got a number of entities. We've got 37 partners that are looking to us for guidance on that. So this will be really the first step of a two-part process. The first one will be this agreement with Zayo, and provided that's approved by the county board, next we'd be looking to update the agreements with the cities, the schools, the public safety agencies, etc. And that second agreement is between us, the county, and those agencies.
Thank you, Susan. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 2.
Thank you. Our next item was the IT Department recommends the county board approve to amend contract number C0001121 with SHI for the purchase of additional Microsoft licensing in the amount of $171,170.54. In 2009, the county entered into the agreement with Microsoft to purchase an enterprise agreement for licensing the county's servers, file, print, and email functionality. The Microsoft contract also provides for the licensing needed for the county's PC operating systems and Microsoft Office licenses required for 2,300 workstations. As a result of the initial agreement and to continue the use of this mission-critical technology, the county is scheduled to renew its agreement in 2021. However, due to the increase in the server license usage, the popularity of the hosted websites for conducting county business, and a substantial upsurge in SQL databases, our agreement requires we true up our license count this year to accommodate the growth in license activity. And I'll let Susan talk a little bit about that portion of the true up. And what we're working on in that regard. Susan?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, members of the county board, we have a long-standing agreement in place with Microsoft, and every year we have some form of a true-up, and traditionally it's a couple office licenses. It's kind of a smaller piece of licensing, and this year it's certainly much larger. Although we don't have license increases due to things like new staff or workstations, we do have a significant increase in the amount of, we call them public-facing websites, but they're really kind of public, some are kind of not. I'll give you one example. We worked closely with Human Services and put together an enormous amount of information online related to child care licensing. Well, in Microsoft eyes, that's a tick. That's a license you need to deal with. In other cases, we have more internal facing, but they are websites. One related to example for the medical examiners, and something we're doing around hospice care and work to be done by the field investigators prior to someone ending hospice care. That's a license. And so as we see popularity in that type of a technology to conduct county business, it's a little bit more difficult to plan for, although we do have budget for this, because it's not like replacing a roof where you can say in 3 years it's going to be this amount. We've got a pretty good idea of what it's going to be. It's really based on how much the county continues to invest in using technology to work with our constituents. And that's an example of what you see here today. We'll be paying for this out of the IT fund. We did go through a formal audit process with Microsoft, and there was a lot of back and forth on figuring out what the accurate amount is, so this is actually lower than their initial proposal. But we were able to secure the additional funding and ensure we have it through Microsoft tools that we're not using anymore. So it's not exactly a wash, it's pretty close, but it is something we need to do as a part of our agreement.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it, yeah.
Gamache, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. I would only comment for those of us that tend to glaze over when we get deep into this stuff. I'm very glad we have you.
Thank you.
You can have a way of boiling it down to make it understandable. But these are, real investments in technology that make our staff that much more functional and productive in their daily work. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Next will be our Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee Chair Report. Commissioner Brassad.
I would recommend the county board adopt resolution IG-03 accepting funds from the State of Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for the County Veterans Service Office Enhancement Grant Program. This particular grant must be used to provide outreach to the county veterans, to assist in the integration of combat veterans into society, to collaborate with other social service agencies, educational institutions, and other community organizations for the purposes of enhancing services offered to veterans to reduce homelessness among them. And I'm happy to offer that resolution.
The resolution's been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that is unanimous.
Concludes that report.
Well, let's jump into the Property Records and Taxation Committee report, and we will turn to Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on the 16th of September, and the action items are the committee recommends the county board adopt the following resolutions related to tax forfeited property. Resolution number 2019 PRT 20, the 2019 tax forfeit classification of non-conservation property for land sale purposes. And item B on that is resolution 2019 PRT 21, requesting Department of Natural Resources to approve for the sale of the 2019 tax forfeited classification list.
We'll take these two resolutions together. Is there an offer of the resolutions?
I'll offer it.
The resolutions have been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that's unanimous. Next item.
And then item number 2, we have A, B, C, and D, so we'll do all those together.
I believe we have to do those separate.
Do we? Okay, that's fine. We'll start with A. Resolution 2019 PRT 22, authorizing a private sale of certain non-buildable tax forfeited land pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 28201, Subdivision 7A, alternate sales procedure, and setting the terms of the sale for this private land sale.
Is there a motion to approve? Or is there an offer of the resolution? I'm sorry.
I'll offer it.
Resolution's offered. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. Item B, please.
Yes, Resolution 2019 PRT 23, authorization for charging of costs of tax forfeited land sale to proceeds from said sale and authorization of 20% of the proceeds from the 2019 private land sale to Park Fund. And I will offer the resolution.
Resolution's offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that's unanimous. Item C.
Item C is 2019 PRT 21, authorizing a public sale of tax forfeited land pursuant to Minnesota Statute Sections 282 and 383E.16, and setting the terms of the sale. And I will offer the resolution.
The resolution's been offered. I will correct the audio record to say that should say PRT 24.
Thank you. What did I say?
21.
Okay.
With that said, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimous. Item D.
Item D, Resolution 2019 PRT 25, authorization for charging of costs of tax forfeited land sale to proceeds from said sale and authorization of 20% of the proceeds from the 2019 public land sale to Park Fund. And I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution's offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And Mr. Chair, let me just thank staff for all their work on this. We went through all the different pricing and the sales prices. We don't try to set them high. We want to see if we can get them out in the actual tax areas for those cities and the county and everything like that. So we hope to have a successful sales on all of these. So thank you to staff for all their help.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Next, we will jump to our Public Safety Committee report. Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you. We met on September 17th, have a couple items. The Public Safety Committee recommends approval and execution of the 2020 law enforcement contracts for a term of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. This includes the City of Andover, City of Bethel, City of Columbus, City of East Bethel, and the City of Ham Lake. The contract numbers are listed there and their individual contract amounts are there. They are all seeing a slight increase in their contracts due to the salary increases and healthcare costs, increased body cam costs, and some vehicle upgrades. And I'll move that.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know what, and I meant to ask this in the actual committee. So these are the 5 contract cities, but there's a total of 8, is that correct? So then the other 3 just have a different yearly cycle for those contracts?
Commissioner Brassad.
Commissioner Meisner, as far as we do have Chief Deputy Kevin Helwig here, who is anxious to address this.
Welcome, Chief Deputy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The other 3 are coming. Are just on a little bit different timeline. They go through their city councils, and in the case of Linwood, the town board, just on a little different schedule. So these are the first 5 of the 8. They've all been approved. We're just on a little different timeline.
Thank you. And then so will the next 3 come in a grouping like this?
I would assume so.
Okay.
Yeah, probably at the next meeting.
Further discussion. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, one of my concerns last year when we were approving these contracts was that Anoka County is a self-insured county, and that there is, kind of an additional risk maybe when we take on contracts like this for potential lawsuits that result from whatever someone may come up with. But I have yet to hear if we did resolve that question in terms of, is there additional insurance for this type of thing? Would that be reflected in these contracts? Is that included in these, or is that yet unresolved, I guess is the question.
Commissioner, look, I don't know the answer, and I'll turn to the Chief Deputy, but I would suggest that if I recall the conversation, we're a mutual aid agency. So even if we didn't have these contracts and we responded to an incident in those communities, we still have that exposure. So I'm not sure we can limit our exposure any other way, but we can maybe bring that back to the sheriff and the county attorney and see if we can have a deeper conversation to get to the point, to get to your question answered. From my recollection, it was answered. I just don't remember the exact answer. Anything to add?
Yeah, it's, and I don't know if you're referring to cities that we have contracts with, or going to cities such as that have their own police departments, because I know last year we had a couple different incidents that came up.
Commissioner Look.
Well, Mr. Chair, there is the mutual aid component of it where, if it's a large enough situation, a lot of agencies respond. That's a risk in and of itself, certainly, but when we're contracting with communities as their primary police force, that's a separate area of risk that we enter into at that point. And whether it's, a wrongful death lawsuit or whatever may result, the problem that we have is that it falls on a self-insured county. And it's now the responsibility of all communities and all residents, regardless of whether there's a contract or not in those communities, to try and fund that lawsuit. And that was my primary concern then. It sounds as though it hasn't been addressed necessarily from an insurance standpoint. I'm looking at Bill Keller, but there's no nodding, so I'm assuming it hasn't been addressed. So in terms of consistency, I opposed it last year due to the fact that this is a liability. I'm going to oppose it this year, not because it doesn't make sense financially for communities. I believe it does. I'm concerned about the legal aspect and the liability aspect to Anoka County as a whole.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention again. I think we should direct the sheriff, risk management, and the attorney's office to work together to figure out a good answer for your question and see if we're in the right position. Until then, we will push their feet to the fire and make sure they come up with an answer for you. With that, is there further discussion on the contracts? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Opposed.
And that passes. Next, we'll move to item 2.
The Public Safety Committee recommends approval and execution of the 2019 Off-Highway Vehicle Safety Grant contract between the State of Minnesota, Commissioner of Natural Resources, and the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. The total obligation of the State of Minnesota will not exceed $21,252 with an effective date of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes.
And that concludes my report.
All right, that concludes our committee reports for today. Our next item on the agenda is item 9, where we will have a public hearing to receive comments concerning business subsidy modifications that may be adopted pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 116J.994.
Okay, assuming you're turning over to me at this point, Mr. Chair, thank you. I will then convene that public hearing for the purpose just stated by you to receive comments concerning business subsidy modifications. Notice of this particular hearing has been published on September 13th, 2019, and I would ask the clerk to make that part of the public record this time. My understanding is that Karen Skepper, Director of Community and Government Relations, will address the board on the matters relating to this public hearing. If you could, Ms. Skepper.
Thank you. In 2004, the county board adopted a resolution and created a policy that addressed any type of a public subsidy that might be awarded to a business. Periodically, it's our obligation to take those policies, look at them, dust them off, and make sure that things are correct. As we were going through the policy, we realized that the receiving department was a division that no longer existed here at the county. Government Services has been dissolved, so we needed to rename a department that could be the receiving entity for applications for a business subsidy. So we made that correction to our policy. We took a look at all of the criteria for business subsidies, felt that they were still solid, but did a very thorough review. We did publish. We received no comments from the public. And at this time, I'm happy to ask Dan for any questions or turn it back to Attorney Palumbo.
Are there any questions for Ms. Skepper from the board? Any? Okay, at this time, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's
Commissioner Meisner, if you have any questions, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, not exactly questions, but I guess, as I'm reading through this, it sounds like this is all on a case-by-case for businesses, and then it will just go to the intergovernmental committee then to be reviewed.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, that is absolutely correct. Everything is case by case. A very sound business decision has to be presented, and then it goes through the committee structure, ultimately to county board.
And then, I'm sorry, just a follow-up comment too, because we're actually kind of separating a little bit with the actual procedures, which allows us to really be timely and adaptive then for these applications. So I think that's a good thing, and I just wanted to comment on that as well.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, you are correct. We've been making a concerted effort over the last few years to separate policy and procedures so we can keep them more current and up to date.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none at this point, I would then open it up to members of the public if they wish to come forward and address the board on this matter. And I will ask a second time, any members of the public wish to come forward? And a third time, any member of the public wish to come forward? Seeing none, the record should reflect there were no public comments at this meeting. And I would then close the meeting, Mr. Chair, and turn the matter back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Palumbo. I will offer Resolution 2019-114, adopting the Anoka County Business Subsidy Policy. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Then that is adopted unanimously. Next, we'll move on to item 10 on the agenda, we are going to consider approving a contract renewal of the proposed health care insurance package from Blue Cross Blue Shield for 30 hours or more per week benefit eligible employees of non-union and union employees for a 1-year period starting January 1st of 2020 with an overall premium increase of 9.9% as recommended by the responsible commissioner for insurance. And I am looking for a motion to approve. I will move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all vote. Commissioner Look.
If I can just comment, I want to thank staff for their endless work on trying to get these rates down. 9.9 is not where it started, that's where it ended, and it was significantly lower than where it started based on information that, well, we're not quite sure where they got the information from. But nevertheless, after we evaluated the information or had it evaluated, we could then, kind of formulate an argument that they could accept at that point, and that was good. 9.9 is still a lot of money. And we continue to see healthcare costs, I guess, increasing at rates that are, I would say, unreasonable in the marketplace. And so I'm going to talk a little bit further about this in the levy discussion that we're going to have, but it's something I think we need to take a strong look at as a county. So.
And thank you, Commissioner Look. And we are, I believe, in the third year of a 3-year contract, so we will have an opportunity to look at providers and rates and see where we land in the coming years. But this has been a great deal of work for our risk management team and our insurance team, and thank them for all their hard work, and look forward to putting this one behind us and getting another great contract for the future. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
And that passes. Next, we're going to move on to item 11, where we consider approving a contract for the proposed life, accidental death, and dismemberment insurances from Unum for 30 years or more per week benefit eligible employees with a 2-year rate guarantee as recommended by the responsible commissioner for insurance. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? A ditto from the last one. Good enough. This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye. And that passes unanimous. We'll move on then to item 12, consider approving a contract for the proposed long-term disability and voluntary short-term disability insurance from National Insurance Services for 30 hours or more per week benefit eligible employees of non-union and union employees with a 2-year rate guarantee for 2020 and 2021 as recommended by the responsible commissioner for insurance. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
And that passes. Item 13, consider approving a contract for the proposed voluntary vision materials only insurance from Blue Cross Blue Shield for 30 hours or more per week benefit eligible employees of non-union and union employees with a 2-year rate guarantee for a period ending December 31st of 2021 as recommended by the commissioner responsible for insurance. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
And that passes. Next, item 14, we'll consider rejecting the single bid from Mechanical Repairs to repair or replace the mechanical units that were damaged as a result of the June 11th, 2017 hailstorm, as recommended by the responsible commissioner for insurance. I would just say that we only had one bidder. It was extremely high compared to our engineer's estimates. The mechanicals are still functioning, so we're going to go back out for a bid when the bidding climate is a little bit better. So for that, I am looking for a motion. Moved by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, just a question on this, and I don't see Andrew in the room here, but is this not covered by insurance?
Commissioner Look, I believe it is covered by insurance, and insurance is reimbursing us for this work. I believe we probably already even received a check for the work, as far as I know, at least the preliminary part. We probably get the depreciation part once we do the work. Bill Keller.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, my name is Bill Keller. I am the Central Services Director for Anoka County. To answer your question, yes, this is covered by insurance, but because the bid was probably a third higher than what we expected, we thought that we would reject and rebid it.
Mr. Chair, I'm not opposed to doing that. I just
wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, if insurance is responsible, then they're kind of responsible for the bidding, whatever that comes out as. If we can take the time to find better bids that would benefit the insurance company, I suppose that's fine too.
I'll have Bill respond, but my guess is they're going to pay for what they deem the replacement cost is, not what the bidder deems the replacement cost is.
That is correct. They would pay for what they felt was the appropriate value. We would go back and negotiate with them to say, this is the climate. So,
Commissioner Meisner.
Yes, and I just wanted to clarify too that the bid that we are rejecting, says that it was overly priced by almost $700,000. So just pointing that out for clarification for everyone. It is a significant amount of money.
Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I understand that it's overpriced, and I understand that a lot of the bids we're getting now seem to be overpriced, and we're rejecting some. The concern I have, of course, is while the equipment's operating today, hopefully it continues operating. We don't have to piecemeal this thing, into trying to fix it at some point in the future because we haven't gotten another bid in that we like yet. So to a certain extent, I can't tell you how many times I've had hail damage. The insurance company thinks it's $5,000 and it's $15,000, and so you actually have to get to that point of saying, no, this is what you're going to have to pay. So that's part of obviously the game that's played in insurance, and I just would like to avoid replacing this condenser unit and that air conditioner and just get a all-inclusive replacement plan underway.
Understood. Thank you, Commissioner Look, and I'm sure Bill will be working with Andrew to make sure that we're well positioned to do just that.
yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Look, that is indeed what we've done. We have talked to both Andrew and Jerry in facilities and to make sure that they were okay with the decision that was made. They helped us come up with that decision, and so they are well informed and they are comfortable with going out for bids for a third time due to the climate that's out there. So it's not that we're not trying to get it done. We are definitely trying to get it done. It's just putting together the right package like you're talking about to make sure that we get the appropriate bids.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve. Do we have a motion? We've got a motion on this? Okay, we got a motion and a second. And for this, this is not a roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The bids are rejected, or the bid is rejected. Let's move on to item 15, where we'll consider resolution 2019-115, adopting a proposed property tax levy for program year 2020. I will offer the resolution to put it on the table. Is there further discussion? Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like nothing better than to be able to cut our levy or at least hold it flat. But over the year of 2019 so far, we have looked at all of the issues that will come before us that we have to do. And this board has a proven record of serving the citizens in a respectful, innovative, and fiscally responsible manner. And throughout 2019, we made unanimous decisions to include in our budget investments in many of our systems and our infrastructure. I'm just going to mention a few. We voted unanimously to invest in cybersecurity. Daily, our citizens and our employees are susceptible to threats through the electronic and computer facilities that we have. And it is our job, our responsibility to protect our computer systems. And we also voted unanimously to commit 4 years to matching a grant to stabilize the banks of the Rum River, which flows through the northwest area of our county. We've never participated in that before, but we agreed unanimously to do that. We voted unanimously to honor the citizens' call to do the needed upgrades for the Chamonix Golf Course. You know, we didn't understand the whole issue. There was a lot of pushback from people. We restudied it, and we unanimously agreed to make that golf course more productive, and we did that. And then the last thing I just want to mention, there are many, many things we vote on, as you observed today. We voted unanimously to upgrade the 30-year-old infrastructure of Bunker Beach. This is, you know, some would say, well, why do we have a water park? Well, we have a water park that has been there for a long time. It has, most of the time, supported itself a lot, and it needs updating, just like any other old facilities. So I plan to support the levy that we're proposing today, and hopefully we might find something that we can cut between now and December, but that is my commentary.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Commissioner Breasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too just wanted to point out a couple things that we've found necessary to do in the public safety area over the past year. We increased the number of our 911 call dispatchers because of the overwhelming calls that they were getting. In comparison to other call centers, they were handling tens of thousands more calls per dispatcher than really what they should be comfortable with. We added detention deputies in the jail to help cover overtime and to alleviate some of the issues with the overcrowding that's happening in our jail. We added additional public health nursing to bring some mental health services to those that are incarcerated in our jail. Those are things that we as the board decided were important to us to invest in. And I think, you know, just when you look at Anoka County being a big employer in Anoka County, when you're facing the 9.9% increase in health care costs, and even just a minor, 3% raise to our employees, between those two facets, we're like at a 3.5% increase without hardly doing anything, without any other investments. And so I've said it before, I think we have to continue to invest in our greatest asset, which is our employees. They're the ones on the front line, they're providing the services. And it's important for us to be competitive in the workforce. We do some very important work, and we need to be able to count on the people that are carrying out that work. We've also seen some major cost shifts from the state, basically unfunded mandates in human services over the last 5 to 6 years. That amount has added up to over $12 million in cost shifts. That money has to come from somewhere. We are never happy when we have to pass it on to taxpayers. I think this board does a really good job to be as efficient and responsible, as we possibly can. So I will be supporting this preliminary levy. It is my hope that we can continue to work on this until our next public meeting on December 5th. And perhaps we can even whittle it down farther.
Thank you, Commissioner Breasted. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as my first time with this go-around, it is extremely weighty on me because, in terms of the tax increase. These are about the people I know and care about in my community. And these are the services of the same people that I know and care about in the community that need them. I just wanted to make a few commentary about the workshop that we had. I really liked that this whole board was talking about sustainability and these services that the previous commissioners had talked about that we do have to provide. That's our number one priority, is to provide services for our citizens. And I want to thank the Finance Department for your months and months of work to come up with this, as well as all of the department heads. We asked the department heads already to be lean. We asked them to go back and get leaner. And I personally think now it is my job to do the hard work and support a levy that will support their work. And then I'm just going to echo, I know Commissioner Brassad already talked about this, but to reiterate, so for the public's opportunity to talk about this or ask questions, the Truth and Tax Station is Thursday, December 5th at 6 p.m. I believe it's here, correct? Yes. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Look?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I'd like if they could play a recording from last year so I could save some time here, but nevertheless, I think I have pretty much similar talking points every single year. And I think that I kind of see myself somewhat as a budget hawk in that I try to get costs down as much as possible. And I think my loved ones actually know when it's budget time because of the stress maybe that I bring home from these discussions. But nevertheless, it's a tough time to consider the impact that's going to be on residents. And we're only discussing county impact. They're going to see school, city, they're going to see increase in utilities, they're going to see all sorts of increases that cumulatively add up to an amount that some can't bear. Some are trying to get ahead, and they get slapped down every single year with increases. And this is the part that I try to keep ever mindful about when we're talking about the expenses. Now, we had kind of an exercise this last year where positions were somewhat added throughout the year, and I was not necessarily happy concerning the fact that it was going to have budget ramifications into this year's budget. And a lot of times we heard, oh, it's budget neutral, meaning we've got money in our budget and we can absorb it this year for the balance of 6 months or whatever that position would cost. And then next year you see the full effect of that position and in an increased budget. And those positions were approved on a regular basis throughout the year. And I was concerned. I made mention of it every single time because I knew that at some point you're going to pay the piper, and in fact we did, because when we rolled into our budget discussions this year, it was, I think Commissioner Brassad said 3.4, I think it was 4 point something, but nevertheless very similar. Without even making a change, that was what it was already committed, and it concerned me greatly. This year, in addition to increases that governmental agencies will be looking at, there's what I refer to as a waterbed concept. That when you push down on one side of the waterbed, the other side goes up. And this year we know that the commercial industrial will see a reduction in the amount of what they carry, and that reduction will be passed on to the residential. They'll carry a heavier burden on the residential. That being said, just so people understand, if we didn't increase our budget at all, and if your property values didn't increase at all, you'd still see an increase because of that shift. And so on top of not only the increases that you'll see in the budgets for county, city, school, whoever, state, federal, you're going to see an increase just because of that shift alone, and that's very concerning. There was an analysis done in the county as far as economic development goes, and I know Jaquel was just here doing a fantastic job of promoting economic development, and we need economic development in the county. But when you look at a property tax bill and you consider your total at the bottom, it breaks it out school, city, county, and just for sake of simplicity, call it thirds. And the county has a third dollar amount on there. You're going to pay that amount and it's represented in the form of dollars. And so I wanted to capture what are those dollars in terms of new development within our county last year. And I'm thankful to our finance staff, Corey's here, who I'm not sure how you generate those numbers. I'm sure it's difficult, but I appreciate you doing that. And we came up with roughly $1.5 million in increased dollars that we're going to see. Our budget this year, just if you're looking at insurance and wage increase, is closer to $10 million. So increase of 1.5, 10, that means $8.5 million is going to be borne by existing residential and existing commercial industrial. And that's concerning to me. And so how do you handle that? How do you try and process through that when you're looking at the impacts that people are going to have? And that's the frustration that I have here. I mentioned a little bit early on healthcare, 9.9% increase. Much more if staff hadn't worked hard to try and bring that down. I've talked about self-insurance, and at what point does self-insurance make sense? At what point do we encourage folks to be more healthy and to try and reduce those costs? I think it's something that we absolutely have to look at, and unfortunately, we've not come to an agreement on that as of yet. So that's something that in the future we have to look at. I am going to approve this preliminary, and I know that the media somewhat just reports on preliminary. You can set it at a certain rate. You can't go above that rate, but you can certainly reduce that rate. And so while I'll support the preliminary levy today, there's going to have to be some work done to get that down even more for me to support the final levy on December 5th.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been doing budgets now in government for many years, including 14 years as a mayor. And it's always difficult when you sit down with your staff to go over how this is all going to work out. And there are some years that are better than others, and some years that are tougher than others. But we take it very seriously, and we have. I've been able to deal with great staff, both at the city level and at the county level, who do take it very seriously, and the people that work for the county here in Anoka County take it very seriously as well. There are some things that we are trying to do. Commissioner Luck mentioned the fact that self-insurance and those types of things, and I applaud our insurance folks because, and Blue Cross Blue Shield for that matter, although it's always expensive to pay Blue Cross Blue Shield, but they have done things. In the next program year, they've added the debit cards for FSA and HSA accounts. They're looking at some type 2 diabetes pilot projects to help people take care of themselves with what can be a very expensive disease. Insulin coverage is coming. We've got the Share Care where you have fitness programs coming up, Learn to Live, programs of stress, anxiety, and those types of things, depression. All of those things are coming into our next healthcare plan, and probably some being expanded from previous years. So I know that the people that work with us on the health insurance, including the Blue Cross Blue Shield people, do work hard to keep people healthy, to make sure that they're taking care of themselves, because otherwise it's more of a cost on all of us. But it's difficult, and I'm just glad that we are looking at that and trying to figure that out. Now, the issues that we have, obviously, Commissioner West mentioned a couple of things that we did vote on this year, and that those were all with visions of what the future will look like in Anoka County. So I think they were all good projects that we looked at, making sure that the Rum River Bank projects continue, and that we as a county participate while we're receiving money from the state and from other entities to help us do that. That will make the Rum River even a better benefit to the residents of Anoka County. So there are some things that we need to pay for. We need to look at. We watch our budgets very carefully. We watch them very closely. We don't spend extravagantly on anything, from what I can see. So I'm in favor of moving forward today with this levy increase. Unfortunately, like I said before, we don't like to see levy increases, but they're a part of life. You can rest assured that we are trying and searching and looking under every couch cushion or whatever you want to call it to find out where we can make changes if necessary. But you have a staff that you need to pay for. And in the world today where the number of people that are looking for jobs has decreased to where you're only getting, if you're lucky, sometimes a handful of people applying for a position when it used to be 20 to 30 to 40. That causes the increase in salaries because of the fact that we compete on every level. As a big company, as the county is, basically we're a big corporation. We're competing with the 3Ms, the General Mills, the Control Datas, all the different companies in the metro area for our employee base. And while we don't pay at the highest level all the time, and it's very difficult to compete with the private sector, we do want to keep good people in our positions. So we try to offer other benefits for them to work in Anoka County. So I am supportive of what we're doing today, and hopefully it will come down a little bit more. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one, but our staff was always working hard, so we give them credit for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. I will probably finish with what I should have started with. Our budget increase, our budget is $143,292,759. That is our budget this year, and that is a 4.97% levy increase to get to that number. So the levy we're approving today is a 4.97 increase. I will say from my perspective, this is a status quo budget with a few minor priorities in public safety, which was already stated, 8 new positions in 911, which public safety has always been one of our highest charges as a county board. I believe that's one place we don't cut corners, and again, some detention deputies. And cybersecurity. We've stepped up our game with cybersecurity. One settlement, one big lawsuit, and we'd be in for a lot more than a 4.97% increase. So those are very important expenditures. Our utilities this year are up for the first time in a long time. Our LED conversion has saved us a lot of money over time, but some of those bonus programs are over now, and we're back paying some pretty regular rates, and that is an increase this year over past years. With that said, I do think it's a responsible budget. I agree with Commissioner Look that this is preliminary. We've got until December to figure this out, work a little harder, and I encourage Commissioner Look to engage with us, the rest of the county board and staff, to see if there are more cuts. We've gone through a number of exercises in the last 2 months to get to where we're at. I don't know if another exercise of that same scale is appropriate or not, but we'll have to work on that. We have to come up with something if we want to reduce this from 4.97. Again, I think it's responsible and reasonable. If the levy ends up being 4.97 in December, I'm going to support it then, as I do now. But I will work diligently, hand in hand with each and every one of you, to see if we can figure out a way to save all our taxpayers that extra dollars. Seeing no further discussion, the resolution was offered, so this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad?
Aye.
Commissioner West? Aye. Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
And that passes unanimously. Next, we'll move on to item 16, consider resolution 2019-116, adopting a proposed public safety tax levy for program year 2020. I'll offer the resolution. And under discussion, I would just say that this is our levy to repay the bonds, or repay what would have been bonds for the public safety data system. It's to repay ourselves essentially, as our accounts forwarded the money to buy that system. This is on the tax statement for all of our residents. It's a separate line item as allowed by statute. Further discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this sunsets, is it 2023 or?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad?
And that passes unanimously. Item 17, for informational purposes, the Anoka County Board of Commissioners will hold a public meeting on December 5th, 2019 at 6 p.m., at which the budget and levy for 2020 will be considered and at which the public will have an opportunity to speak on the 2020 proposed budget. That will happen here in this room at the Government Center, 2100 3rd Avenue, Anoka, on the 7th floor. And lastly, item 18, committee appointments. We'll consider appointing Richard Orpin to the Library Board representing District 1 for the remainder of the term ending December 31st, 2020, as recommended by Commissioner Look. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And that passes. Anything else to come before the county board? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I just wanted to touch base about the special election that is going on in District 6. Special elections can be tough because not everyone knows about them, and so the voter turnout typically is quite a bit lower. So again, for District 6, these are the cities of Centerville, Lino Lakes, Columbus, and Linwood Township. The primary, so there are 6 candidates that have filed right now. The primary is Tuesday, November 5th, with the general election not until February the 11th. And then a couple of opportunities for citizens to get informed about your 6 candidates. There is a League of Women Voter Candidate Forum at Lino Lake City Hall, which will be Tuesday, October 8th at 6:30 p.m. I believe there is a Quad Area of Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. I think all 6 candidates will be there. That will be held Thursday, October 3rd from 11:30 till 1 in Hugo. North Metro TV is covering all the candidates as well for the Anoka County District 6 board race. And for any other details about our 6 candidates, please hop on our Anoka County election page for the names and other details. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. Anything else to come before the county board? Seeing none, we are adjourned. We do have an HRA meeting that will start. Does anybody need a break? All right, you have 3 minutes. We're going to convene